All right, South Carolina picks up a 6-3 win over Arkansas in game one of today's doubleheader. First off, I think the offense was struggling a little bit, but finally came through in the 6th inning when you get the 4-run outburst. Started off by Austin Brindling, who had an RBI single into center field, and then from there, the offense really looked better, and they put up a 4-spot. Like I said, they took a 6-1 lead and looked in cruise control. Matthew Becker comes out there and pitches a few good innings, and then gets into a little bit of trouble, turns the ball over to Garrett Gainey, who gets in and out of a jam. Gainey ended up pitching just 2 innings, 5 hits, 1 run. Comes out of the game in the 9th with the bases loaded and 1 out, and you turn the ball over to Connor McCurry, who continues to get the pitch in these big spots, and he quickly induces a grounder back to the mound, flips home for the out. Cole Messina throws to first, and looks like a tailor-made double play, but unfortunately Gavin Casas' foot was off the bag, so the Razorbacks stayed alive. And then McCreary gets a strikeout to end the game, and the Gamecocks hold on to win 6-3 this afternoon in the first game of the doubleheader. First off, that's a huge win right there. You definitely needed it after a game like last night where the pitching was phenomenal, but the offense just didn't show up to the plate. And now you got the momentum going into game 2 this afternoon. It's going to be a big one. Dylan Eskew's going to get the start for the Gamecocks. First pitch is at 5:15 p.m. on SEC Network Plus. I'll be right back here for the second game of this doubleheader. Be sure to stay tuned into Gamecock Central for all your updates the rest of the way. Reporting live from Founders Park, I'm Jack Veltri. After picking up a 6-3 win over Arkansas in the first game of the doubleheader, it seemed like South Carolina was on the right track, in a position to go out and win a huge series against the top 5 team in the country. But unfortunately, for a lot of reasons this evening, South Carolina was not able to get the job done in the series finale against Arkansas, losing this one 9-6 and dropping the series in total. That's now 6 series for South Carolina this year in SEC play. They've dropped 4 of them. So not really a good outlook, but at the same time, they're 9-9 in conference play right now. Middle of the pack, in a position to potentially host a regional as a national seed, but it's it's a lot easier to look at all the negatives from this weekend, with the way the Gamecocks kind of played here in the series finale. Let's start with that first. The second inning is a real big issue for this team, with a little bit of defensive mistakes. It starts with Lee Ellis making a bad throw on a routine ground ball to short, and then later in the inning you have a tailor-made double play. Ellis flips to second for the first out, and then Parker Nolan's relay throw to first goes high, and it forces Gavin Casas to reach up and try to make a tag as he on the way down. And look, a lot of people want to blame Gavin for that, those plays there. Honestly, I don't buy it. I think that's kind of ridiculous, if I'm being honest. I think Gavin was really a vacuum over there at first base this entire weekend. He kind of has been all year. It's just one of those things where South Carolina's middle infield has to play better. And if you make one of those plays there, especially the double play, you're looking at a situation where Arkansas doesn't score any runs there in that inning, but instead the Razorbacks get 3. And when you look at a 9-6 game, that's ultimately the difference in this game. And look, Mark Kingston after the game said South Carolina's defense has been pretty damn elite this year. I buy it to some extent. Outside of that, I mean, look, I think the loss of Will Tippett today was pretty detrimental. I think he's been very good over there at short. I'm not saying Ellis is a bad shortstop by any means, but I think Tippett goes out there and makes those plays. But it's not just that. It's also just everything else. The offense, I thought did pretty well this weekend. Ethan Petrie did not have a good weekend. Went 0 for 10 today in these 2 games, and it just had an effect. And later in the game, I thought Dylan Eskew pitched really well today. Went 5 2/3, only gave up 1 earned run, and only 1 earned run. Those other runs in the second inning were not charged to him, and he looked pretty good. But then after that, that's where things kind of fell apart. Tyler Pitzer and Michael Polk combined to get 5 runs in just 2/3 of an inning, and that really set the game back as the Razorbacks took a 9-2 lead at one point. And Parker Marlott and Drake Quinn pitched the rest of the way, did really well. Quinn hasn't pitched in over a month, so it was good to see him out there and doing his thing. But outside of that, it was a little too late. I mean, South Carolina tried its best to make a comeback at the end, but it really was too late. So looking ahead, the Gamecocks won't have a midweek game this week. They'll have the week off with final exams coming up and all that. So their next time back in action will be next weekend against Kentucky. And the Wildcats, just as good, if not better, than the Razorbacks. They're currently ranked number 3 in the country this weekend, and I know they're playing a very good Tennessee team, so I'm not sure how that series ended up, but nevertheless, the Gamecocks really, I think it's a must-win series for them. I'm not saying they have to sweep, but they have to at least go out there and win 2 of 3 to really, it's big for their regional hopes, right? If they're going to be hosting a regional this year at Founders Park, you got to win that series. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be a big one. But, yeah, stay tuned to GamecockCentral.com for all your action and all your updates with baseball. Despite not having any games during the midweek, I'll have a lot of coverage coming up, a lot of good stories. And, yeah, can't wait to break it all down. South Carolina, Kentucky kickoff a 3-game series Friday night at 7 p.m. And I'll be here for all that action. Reporting live for GamecockCentral.com. I'm Jack Veltri.